Welcome to Phillip Island Circuit for the 7th round in the 4th season of eFormula Series Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. We are looking down on the man in the lead of the championship, Pavel Vasilev. And it looks like he's being led by Dave Gilt there on the practice session that is about to come to a close in about 5 minutes. We have Pavel Vasilev leading the charts right here. And Paul Ilbrink just popped into second position. Mark Ponick is in third. We'll take a closer look at the racetrack here for a moment. Let's see all the information about Phillip Island, the track in Australia, known for its V8 supercar races, obviously. Known also for motorcycle races. It is a track that is 4.41 kilometers long, and it is located in Cowes, Australia. The temperature right now is 19 degrees Celsius, so it's a fairly nice, warm day. It's a clear sky, 55% humidity, and there is a 28 kilometer an hour wind, and that looks like it could hurt the drivers a little bit on their setups. The track temperature is 29 degrees Celsius. That's fairly warm for racing conditions, especially in the Formula Renault 3.5, which doesn't have a whole lot of grippy tires on these machines, so there might be a little bit of an issue here for the guys trying to stay on track. We unfortunately have only 11 drivers at the racetrack right now, and let's take a quick look here at the point standings. Here you go. The Drivers' Championship is being led by Pavel Vasilev with 90 points over Camille van den Driesche with 64. I haven't seen Camille right now. Ooh, looks in the background like a major crash there for Pavel. Third in the point standings is Eloy Caballero with 62 points. Haven't seen him here yet. Juanso Ovali with 46. He is here. Dave Gild with 43 in fifth. He is here. And Danny Hoekstra in sixth with 40. Then it's Mark Ponick with 36. He is definitely here. Paul Ilbrink in eighth position with 31 points. He is here as well, trying to salvage this season. He's had a bit of a struggle this fourth season after being a double champion in the EFS previous seasons. Number 1 and 3 were his. Christophe Siar with 30 in ninth. He is not here. Manuel Domingo, 27 points. He's teammate to Paul Ilbrink. We haven't seen him. He did win a race this season, but he's not really in title contention at this point. And further down the field, we see Christophe Buzzi, Chris Malipart, Jeff Browning, yours truly in 18th position still. Then there's a bunch of names of drivers that we haven't seen showing up for a while. All right, the Privateer Championship, I've left that chart off of there because it's basically Mark Ponick being there unchallenged. Drivers that are in that table aren't here and haven't been showing up for quite some time. So Mark J. Ponick is your Privateer leader. On the team side, things are a little bit more interesting, I would say. Atomic Racing is leading with 114 points. Then it's Iridium Motorsports with 108, with a very good finish last race for two of the drivers. I believe they were third and fourth. Then it's Tulip Racing with 97. They had a good finish last race as well. Then it's Team Baguette with 94. Radicals Online Track Racer Paul Ilbrink and Domingo in fifth with 58. Then it's Rebellion Racing and Fear the Deer in seventh position. Zero X Team, DriveX Esports, and System X Driving are rounding out the table of your teams. So, the seventh round of the season, unfortunately not a high attendance today, only 11 cars on the track. Let's take a look here. We are looking at the final seconds of practice ticking away with Vasilev topping the charge, being only two drivers diving underneath the 116 mark. That is Vasilev and Ponick, so that could be interesting for race conditions. And let's see, in third we have Chris Malipart doing a pretty good job there, and then it's Buzzi, Ilbrink, Browning, and Gild. We are going into the open qualifying session. 15 minutes for these guys to try and set a lap time. Looks like Pavel Vasilev is out on track really quickly. It looks like he is headed out first. He wants to have clear track, obviously. And then it's Paul Ilbrink right behind him there. He's coming out as well. And I believe that was Danny Hoekstra also coming out. Jeff Browning also coming out. He's taken the long pit road. They don't have to, but some of the drivers prefer that because the pit exit is really right behind the wall there, and it's very difficult. There's not much of a merge lane, and drivers that are on a flying lap do tend to take the left side of the track there, right where the pit exit is. So that's why some of the drivers opt to take that longer pit road, or pit exit road, I should say. And here we have Juanso Ovali, one of the Iridium drivers, already back out on track as well. Mark Ponick is out on track. We are waiting for the first lap times to come to our screen. On the bottom of your screen, you can see the sector times, the sector time indicators. A purple bar means that the driver is the quickest of all drivers in that sector. A green bar means that the driver is setting a personal best. And an orange-yellow bar on the bottom will show you that these drivers have some work to do. All right, so Pavel Vasilev has set a 1:18 time. That's not really indicative of what he can do, because the first sector he was just trying to get up to speed. The line is right there at pit exit, so that first lap, that opening lap, is actually being timed. All right, let's go take a look at, we believe Dave Gild is not yet on track. Wonder what's going on with him. So Pavel Vasilev currently leading the charge there. Juanso Ovali had a good opening lap. There is Chris Malipart. Let's see his teammate Jeff Browning. He is out there. Tony Jimenez. I hope I pronounce his name right. Jimenez. He is running together with Gonzalez in that new Sculpers team. And I believe he had a different teammate last week, but you may not quote me on that. Glad to see a new driver join. Always, again, it is a little bit low in attendance lately. 11 drivers on the track. That's not a whole lot. We hope we can still present you with a fun race. Pavel Vasilev leading the championship has got everything to work for to wrap up that championship. He can't wrap it up today just yet, but he'll sure be working on it. And Paul Ilbrink is obviously hoping to restore some of the good stuff we know him for, and try to at least work his way back up to the points tables there. Currently looking back at a few races with a little bit of trouble, a little bit of maybe not preparing well enough, and looks like he just went off here as well. A little bit too hard on the gas out of that hairpin turn. That will do it for you. And he is currently second position. Let's go back to live. There we have JJ Gonzalez, currently in 8th. So, at the top of the charts, you can see Vasilev, Ilbrink, Ponick, and Juanso Ovali in 4th. Chris Malipart in 5th, Danny Hoekstra in 6th, Jeff Browning in 7th. Then it's Jimenez in 8th, Gonzalez, his teammate, in 9th, Christoph Buzi in 10th, and it looks like Dave Gild is having some sort of issue because we haven't seen him on track yet. And as you can see in the pre-show on your screen there, as we got live, we're suffering the loss today of one of the all-time great IndyCar drivers, Al Unser Sr., father of Al Unser Jr., one of the top drivers of the 90s. Al Unser Sr., I'm sorry, has passed away on December 9th, and We remember him, obviously, one of the four-time Indianapolis 500 winners, and obviously that'll get you a place in the record books because the Indy 500, folks, is not an easy one to win. Looks like we finally have Dave on track here in the second Tulip Racing machine. He is yet to set a lap time. It looks like we have Pavel Vasilev being the first one to dive underneath the 116 with a 115.7, and it looks like Panik has just joined him there, and Dave Gild is up there with a 116.002, only 0.02 of a second separating him from that top duo right below that 116 mark. Let me see. It looks like Danny Hoekstra is really pretty close as well, only 0.2 of a second behind there, his teammate. So, and Jeff Browning, he is up in 8th position. Jeff was 3rd in practice, and it always seems to me like he is really well in practice, and then in qualifying, it just doesn't seem to get put together as he would hope. Maybe a setup thing, maybe he focuses more on race setups and not so much on qualifying setups. Not sure. If we ever have a chance, we will definitely ask him. All right, let's see. We had an issue there for J.J. Gonzalez. Ooh, a couple of wheels off the grass in that sweeping turn 2, and that'll get you in trouble, obviously. We saw Danny having some yellow sectors, nothing but, and that means he's struggling a little bit to find the grip. Just talked to him before the race, and Danny really doesn't like this track very much. It's not like it's a difficult track. It's a very drivable track, but he's having trouble finding that little something in the setup that really makes him go fast. And compared to the others, let's not say he's slow, because he's still less than a second away from the leaders, but less than half a second, in fact. But he's having trouble finding that little something to make it really get up there. And maybe that's the same issue for Jeff Browning. Dave Gilt worked himself to the 2nd position with a 115.76, only 0.06 of a second behind Vasilev, and taking the scenic route here. Panik in 3rd. See if he can improve his time here coming across the line. Yeah, he did improve his own time. He just didn't gain any positions. Paul Ilbrink in 4th. He's up there. He's also gotten underneath that 116 mark. In fact, the first 5 drivers have done so. Chris Malipart being the 5th with a 115.98, so he's just underneath there. And then Danny Hoekstra is about 0.2 of a second slower than that. Juanso Ovale in 7th position, 116.3. Buzzi, 116.43. Buzzi, teammate to Pavel Vasilev. Ooh, that's cool. We got him in one shot there. Pavel making way for his teammate there. He's on a flying lap, obviously. And then Jeff Browning, once again, a little bit of a struggle in qualifying. Once again, he's in 9th position. Newcomer Tony Jimenez is in 10th, and J.J. Gonzalez, his teammate, is in 11th. This team joined, I believe it was last race. That was their first outing for this series, and hopefully we'll see more of them next season. And they're not far behind, as you can see. Jimenez is less than a second behind the leader, and that still puts you in 10th position. So this is a very, very close series, folks. And an issue for Ovale. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. No, he just parked it. Taking the scenic route, deciding that that was not going to be the lap he was looking for. So still Vasilev in top position. Provisional pole for him. Dave Gilt, Mark J. Poddick rounding out your top three. Paul Ilbrink went back to the pits. Chris Malipart in fifth. Christopher Buzzi, he has actually passed Hoekstra for sixth position. Coming back out to try again. Hidden behind the wall. Here you can see the exit to the pits really merging very sharply onto the racetrack, where some of the other drivers are already at top speed coming to the left to set themselves up for turn number one. Let's ride along here for a moment with Christopher Buzzi. Very long sweeping turn that most drivers will take in fourth or third gear. Then it's full on the throttle, a little bit of a kink to the left here. Hard on the brakes for a right-hander. And then accelerate out. Down to third gear for a sweeping left-hander. And then all out on a, not much of a, it's not a straight stretch, but I guess you can call it a back stretch. And then we get up the hill, and then over the hill. Car gets a little light here. You have to slow down a little bit. Hard on the brakes for a right-hander. And then up to the third gear, fourth gear to accelerate onto a long sweeping left-hander. That's the pit entry on your left right there. And this long sweeping turn will take you onto the main straightaway. You can see Buzzi being like most drivers, staying to the left. That's the pit exit right there. And that's a lap at Phillip Island. Final minutes of qualifying, 3 minutes to go. Chris Malipart leaving the pit lane. He's taking the long exit as well, trying to stay out of everybody's way. That's his teammate going by there. And he's definitely very good sportsmanship. He's taking his time to let the faster people by at his own cost, driving through the grass there, making sure that he's not in anybody's way. And that's good sportsmanship. Everybody is hoping to do their best here, obviously, to set a good lap time for the race. Here is Jeff Browning, teammate to Chris Malipart. Gets it a little bit hard off that sweeping left-hander there and gets into the grass. Taking the scenic way around, trying to get back on track without being in anybody's way there. And I guess he's going to try again. There he is on pit road. We have Dave Gild. Ooh, Dave having a little issue. Let's take a look at that here. Oh, takes the long way out of the pit road and then really doesn't get turned in for turn one early enough. Takes the long way around. There's a lot of runoff area on this track. You can make a mistake and get away with a lot of stuff around here. Obviously, you don't want to run into those tire barriers there, but you can get off and get away with a few things around here. Personally, one of my favorite tracks. I like this a lot. Not that I'm fast in this car on this track compared to these guys, but it's got a nice flow to it, the nice rhythm in the track. That's the way I prefer them, as opposed to, for example, the Circuit of the Americas, where there really is no flow. And Dave Gild still in second position. He's only gets it wrong and saves it. That is a good save, but obviously ruins his lap for him. And there you have the final turn. Coming back onto the straightaway, he's going to give it another go. He had a very good second sector, as you can see on the bottom left of your screen there. Had a good middle sector and then kind of ruined the last one. Trying again. Looks like on the bottom of your screen you see everybody is having a little bit of trouble. The best times have been set, really. Looks like everybody's having a little trouble gaining more time. The weird thing about this car is that sometimes when the tires heat up, you really don't get any faster. You can sometimes put in real good sectors on cold tires on this car, which is a little bit awkward, obviously. It's not what we are used to seeing in most racing classes. Danny Hoekstra having a good middle sector, personal best. There's Danny. Qualifying is over, folks. The checkered flag has been waved. The people that are on a flying lap can finish it. That would include Dave Guild and Mark Ponick. Let's see if sectors 1 and 2 are not better. First sector is not great for Mark Ponick either. Gonzalez is also still out there. He is currently in the 11th and final spot. Ooh, Dave has an off, so that basically decides his feet there at the end of this final lap. And then let's see if Mark Ponick, he's got a personal best second sector, so let's see if he can make anything happen here in the final moments of qualifying. Final turn coming on to the main straightaway. Nope, I think he's running out of gas. It sounded to me like his engine was stuttering and he was running out of gas. And that looked like it was J.J. Gonzalez passing the line there. So there is qualifying, folks. We are getting ready to race. Let's bring you the grid for this race. Everything fits on one screen. It's Pavel Vasilev in pole position, followed by Dave Guild on the first row there. Then a second row is for Mark Ponick and Paul Ilbrink. The third row is for Christian Malipard and Danny Hoekstra in sixth position there. Christoph Boozy and Juanso Ovale share the fourth row. Then it's Jeff Browning and Tony Jimenez. I hope I pronounce his name right, and if I don't, let me know some way, Tony. And then in the final spot on the sixth row, it is Gonzalez. We are waiting for the drivers to grid up. And the first one there is, in fact, your pole sitter, Pavel Vasilev. Looks like we have Dave Guild joining him there, and then Juanso Ovale is there. There's Christian Malipart, fifth position. Juanso Ovale, Jeff Browning, and then Tony and JJ Gonzalez are there. The two teammates on the back end of the field, but hey, it's a small field. You can still work your way up. Let's see, Paul Ilbrink is there, and Mark Ponick is there. Waiting for Christoph Boozy. There, it looks like Christoph has decided to start from pit road.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag, we are racing here at the Australian Grand Prix at Phillip Island. It looks like Pavel Vasilev has a great start. There comes the whole field. Let's see, Mark Ponick, he challenges Dave Guild for second place there right away. Paul Ilbrink side by side with Dave Guild. Danny Hoekstra is right up there. Ooh, Ilbrink is off. Not again. What happened here? That is so typical for his season here. It's. Let's see in the replay if we can figure out what happened. Did he get any help? No, he had just a little wiggle. We can try again looking from Danny Hoekstra's car. This is the start. On your right there you see Ilbrink. Let's see if there's any contact between these guys. Ilbrink on the outside, which is generally the... Ooh, he loses the back end and just overdoes that first turn on cold tires. That is very unfortunate. Ilbrink in 11th position. He's not given up just yet. He's got 11 seconds to make up. Let's quickly go back to the front where it is Pavel Vasilev completing the first lap in the lead from pole position. Mark Ponick has taken second position from Dave Guild on the start. We saw that happening. Dave Guild in third, then it's Danny Hoekstra in fourth, Ovale in fifth. Jeff Browning had a brilliant start. He is battling his teammate there for sixth and seventh position. It's Jeff on the inside. He lets his teammate go. Christian Malipart keeps sixth position. Tony Jimenez had a pretty good start, and he's now challenging Jeff Browning coming to the inside. Back in the tail end of the field, we have some pretty cool racing. Ooh, Jeff locking up a wheel here. It looks like Jimenez is right on his tail, putting pressure on him. Then it's JJ Gonzalez, his teammate. Christoph Boozy is not far behind, started from the pit lane. Paul Ilbrink, as said, he is 11 seconds behind. He's got some work cut out for him. And again, it is Browning that was challenging his teammate there. Now it looks like he's quickly losing contact, and he's got Gonzalez and Jimenez to worry about. And then it's Boozy and Ilbrink. Back to the front. Pavel Vasilev, I apologize, trying to keep up with everything. Right there behind him, it is Dave Gill trying to challenge Mark Ponick. Coming back around, this is the start of lap number 3. We have 50 laps to go. Laps are not that long, and that's why we got a good number of them. The 50 laps, or a total of 1 hour and 5 minutes, will be the race length. Dave Gild has set the fastest lap at 1:16.9, so Dave is getting racy here, and he's right on the tail end of Mark Ponick. So let's take a look here. This is the hairpin at the beginning of the backstretch, which is really not straight, but go towards the hill over there. We'll see the cars get a little bit light turning into the left. Stay into the inside and then hard on the brakes for a right-hander. It looks like the top 3 are pretty close together. Dave hard on the curbs here. Tried to get into the draft of Mark Ponick's car. Coming onto the main straightaway, we see Vasilev right ahead of us here. And he is definitely in the slipstream here, crawling towards Mark Ponick. He is getting alongside. Going into turn 1, let's see if he can make that stick. He is side by side with Mark Ponick. Very respectful racing. And then for the second turn, it looks like Gild is on the disadvantage on the outside there. And he tugs in right behind Ponick. We had an issue for Gonzalez. Let's go back a little further here and see what happened. Classic move. Ooh, he gets on the gas a little bit too hard, trying to go towards the final turn, and then Boozy has nowhere to go. Let's take a look at it from Boozy's standpoint. Boozy is right here behind. It looks like Jeff Browning is holding these guys up. Ooh, both of them had a issue there. It was actually started with Jimenez getting loose off the turn. His teammates got to take evasive action, and then Boozy gets kind of caught up behind all this. Meanwhile, in the front, it's still Dave Gill challenging Ponick. He's back at the main straightaway. At final turn, he's going to tug in right behind him again to get the draft. Ooh, looks like they both got a bit of a wiggle coming off that turn there. Now, Dave Gild is going to be on the left side, which puts him on advantage for that second turn. Can he get? No, he's not close enough, but he's trying to work on Ponick's nerves for sure. Looks like Boozy is going to pit lane, if we can see that, if the wall's not in our way. Can't really see him, but there he is. He may have some damage. It looks like Gonzalez is going in there as well. They may have sustained some damage from that incident we just saw. Let's go back and take a look at Pavel Vasilev. He's still in the lead. Less than a second separating him from Mark Ponick, and just over a second separates him from Dave Gild. Dave Gild is still working on Mark Ponick there, and his teammate Danny Hoekstra is in a good solid 4th place, and he is only 2 seconds behind Dave, his teammate. Take a look at Dave Gild here. Let's run along with him here. And once again, final turn. He's not close enough for Ponick to really worry. You can see those guys staying to the left, following each other's line, trying to get the draft here on the main straightaway. He's inching towards Ponick, but he's not close enough to really make something happen here. And then on the brakes for this turn, it's actually a mid-speed turn. Ooh, did Vasilev have an issue there? It looks like his lead of about just under a second has evaporated to 2/10. What happened? Ponick and Gild are right on his tail right now. They're fighting each other, and that is actually helpful for Vasilev, but Dave has a little issue here. Let's quickly bring that back. I think he gets a little bit of a wiggle coming off the turn. He's on the white line. Yeah. He gets on the gas a little bit too early there. Hoekstra gaining on his teammate by about 2/10 of a second. We have some issues in the background, I believe. Malipard. What happened? This is not good at all. We gotta bring this back here. Malipard, it looks like he is fighting Ovale, if I see that correctly. He gets a little wide, trying not to run into. He gets two wheels in the grass and then spins it around. And watch what happens here. His teammate has no place to go. The cars are stuck together. Jeff Browning has to back it up for both of them to be able to get back on their way. This is not good, folks. This is not good. And then, Ilbrink is even caught up behind here. Let's see what happened to Ilbrink. He gets caught up behind this entire scene here. He gets around the two Fear the Deer cars, gets two wheels in the grass, and then I believe it's Gonzalez in front of him that blocks his way. It is a bit of a mess back here. All right, let's go back live, and we are looking at Malipart, who has been to pit lane. Can't blame him. Boozy has actually left the race. Let's go and check where everybody's at, because Ilbrink has benefited from all this. He has passed Jimenez. He is now in 6th position. Jeff Browning has continued on. He's got a front wing that's bent. He's soldiering on back there. I'm sure he's not happy, especially not if it's your teammate causing the problems. Chris has been in the pits. He's in 9th, and Gonzalez has been in the pits, and he's kind of stuck between the leaders there. He's getting left and right. That was Dave Gild going around him. The top three have been stretched apart a little bit because of that. Jeff Browning has decided to now come into the pits anyway. That is very unfortunate, folks, because it's not going to get him to the finish on fuel. So the pit stops that we have just seen are too early for these drivers to make it to the end. This series, folks, runs on 50% fuel capacity, which means they are forced to make a pit stop during every event to stop for fuel. Obviously, most of them will take tires as well. Let's take a look at how far these pursuers are back here. Ponick and Gild in the background there. They are, I would say around a second behind leader Pavel Vasilev. On the main straightaway, there you have him. It's Dave Gild setting another fastest lap of the race with 1:16.58. Dave is very racy. He's got the speed, but he hasn't found his way past Mark yet. Let's go further back a little bit. That's Danny Hoekstra. He is dropping back a little bit. He may have had an issue, although doesn't show anything, but he may have had an issue, a little mistake here and there. He is now 3.4 seconds behind his teammate. Then it's Swanso Ovale in 5th position, and it's Paul Ilbrink that still has 17 seconds to make up to Ovale. Ilbrink 23 seconds behind the leader, so he's actually lost time since the incident in on lap 1. And that's probably because the issue with Malipart and Gonzalez, that he got stuck behind. Then in 7th position we have Tony Jimenez. He is 32 seconds behind Ilbrink. Malipart, another, let's see. No, I'm sorry. Jimenez is 1.4 seconds behind Ilbrink, and then it's Malipart 32 seconds behind Jimenez. Gonzalez, as said, he is leapt. Browning has been leapt. He is running 10th, last of the running cars. Front wing has been fixed. Obviously, he needed that. Had a little issue for Paul Ilbrink. A little off track there. See if we can spot any. Ooh, yeah, he's got two wheels in the grass there, coming off that penultimate turn and going through the sweeping left-hander to get back onto the main straightaway. Your top three still fairly close together. Ooh, Dave Guild has actually passed. Dave Guild has actually passed Mark Ponick. Let's see if we can bring that back for you. There we go. That is at the end of the backstretch, and Dave comes around the outside. Pretty good move. Pretty good move. And he takes over second place and walks away with it. Mark Ponick now in hot pursuit, and he is 0.7 of a second behind Dave. And on his turn, Dave is about a half a second behind Vasilev and gaining. So Dave is actually a little bit quicker than Vasilev. He ran a last lap 1:16.8 over Vasilev's 1:16.9. So I am ready for some fireworks here on lap 11 for the lead. Let me double check a setting real quick. As you are watching Dave Guild inch towards the leader. And I can tell you this is not going to be easy. Pavel and Dave are both extremely fast drivers in this series. Dave has had a little bit of a struggle this season to get going. He missed the first race, and then he had a few races where he was really struggling, as opposed to season 3, where he was fighting Ilbrink for the title up to the last race and missed out by just a little bit, where Ilbrink took that title from him, that championship. But it looks like Dave is back on par here at round number 7. He had a podium finish last time, so yeah, it looks like Dave is back on par. Haven't seen him in Winner's Circle this season yet. He was in Winner's Circle, I believe, 2 or 3 times last season. Danny Hoekstra is running in 4th, hanging in there, and that's pretty much what he can do. He's 4.2 seconds behind Mark Ponick, and it looks like Ovale is about 2 seconds behind him, 2.5 seconds behind him. Running strong there in 5th position in the Iridium car, and that is... right now, it looks like in the team standings, it looks like Tulip Racing is gaining a little bit on Iridium, with Dave in 2nd and Danny in 4th, and then Ovale is in 5th, and his teammate, he is by himself today, isn't he? Yeah, he is. His teammate's not here. Molly Part having an issue. Uh-oh. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, he gets in a little bit too hot, loses the back end on entry there. That's tricky. That's that second turn. It's a third or fourth gear left-hander. It's a long sweeping turn, and if you brake just an instant too late, that's exactly what happened. Thank you for the demonstration, Christian. And Jeff Browning in 10th position. Let's bring you back up to the battle for the lead here. Vasilev is still hanging on there. 0.3 of a second separate him to Dave Guild. That is Mark Ponick, another 0.4 of a second. This battle has not been done. And it looks like Dave is challenging. He's not quite close enough. Dave can be a pretty aggressive driver when it comes to trying to make passes work. That is not to say that I'm trying to say he's not a fair driver. He's an extremely fair driver, but he can be up there and make life hard for you. And that's the way racing should be, folks. That's exactly why we love this stuff. Ooh, Vasilev runs wide. Vasilev runs wide. They're side by side. Dave takes the lead. Ooh. Still not done. Coming towards that sharp right-hander. Vasilev now on the inside. Dave will be on the inside for the next turn. And he's got it. He can make that stick. Vasilev, that was a tough break for him. That was a tough break for him. Let's see if we can figure out what happened there. We got to take it back a little bit further. Yeah, the same turn where we saw Christian Malipard get off track is where Vasilev runs a little bit wide, hanging on for dear life, obviously, trying to break as late as he can. And that's where he allows Dave Gill to come alongside. Then Dave is on the outside, holds on and keeps it side by side, and then he is in the better position for the next turn where... Ooh, Vasilev is actually back again. That was a replay, though. Gild is still hanging on to that lead. Vasilev in second position. And it looks like Dave is pulling away about 0.3 of a second here. This is the spot where it started. Vasilev is not having it easy today. We are definitely looking at a fight for the lead, folks. Panik in third position. Obviously, he is hanging in there and letting these guys have their battle and hoping that maybe they overdo it a little bit. That would put him in a great position. And with all that said, folks, it looks like Danny Hoekstra has closed back in on these guys. It's less than 3 seconds. Obviously, the little instances of passing each other and coming off the turn and a little wide and whatnot, that cost them a little bit of time, and Danny is actually closing in a little bit. All right, so it looks like Panik is having trouble, and it's Vasilev on the inside for Dave Gild. Ooh, they almost touched there. Dave had to take a little bit of evasive action there. He's hanging on. Vasilev on the outside, but he can't get around Dave Gild just yet. Good fight on our hands here. King to the left, then we have a right-hander, sharp turn. Vasilev is going to be on the inside. He's not close enough, even though Dave allows him the room, and that gives Vasilev the chance to stay side by side. Now it's Dave in the preferred position for the left-hander, and he keeps Vasilev at bay. Good fight going on here. And again, Mark Panik is riding behind there looking at it all and thinking, okay, guys, you can keep this up. I will just be the laughing third. Good job for Dave Gild and Pavel Vasilev there, giving us a good show here at Phillip Island. Let's quickly take a look at Ilbrink's progress, which is really not that much. He's running just fine. He's got quick laps. He's running, his last lap was a 1:17. His fastest lap was a 1:16.8. So he's not really quicker than the guys ahead of him. He's still 23 seconds behind the leader, and that's where it was the last time we checked. So Ilbrink's progress is kind of stalling a little bit. Right in front of him, it's Ovali, 16 seconds ahead of him, and then 3 seconds ahead of Ovali is Danny Hoekstra. Danny has lost a little bit of ground again on those leaders. Dave Gild is still having Pavel Vasilev all over him. And Mark Panik is clearly having either trouble to keep up or just kind of in the waiting room, waiting to see what happens. We are only on lap 17. There's still quite a bit of racing to do. This is also a tricky turn of a sharp right-hander where you have to accelerate to the left to get going into that final sweeping turn. Dave's doing a great job. 0.3 of a second. Ooh, Mark Panik. Issue for Mark Panik. Oh. Let's see what happened here. And I say accelerating out of here is tricky. You get into this full acceleration, a sweeping left-hander, and this is where Mark Ponick gets in trouble. Luckily, he barely touches that wall. He backs out of it. Let's take a look at his nose. Looks like he got out of there unscathed, but Danny Hoekstra has gotten by. Ooh, where are we looking at here? Mark Ponick, did he have another issue, or is that the same issue? Well, looks like he took his time to get going, and he dropped back all the way to 7th position to Tony Jimenez, who is now 11 seconds behind him, in front of him. Ah, that's a bad break for Mark Ponick. It was going so well. Pavel Vasilev sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:16.51. And it looks like he gotten by Dave Guild again. Let's see where that happened. They're still side by side. We really can't let them go looking at any other stuff. Let's go back to live. They are all over each other. Oh, look at that. Dave Guild right underneath that rear wing. This is a good dogfight here. If that interval says anything less than 0.2 of a second, you betcha you got a fight on your hands. Ooh, Pavel going a little defensive there, going to the right side of the track, trying to be in the right position for this sharp right-hander, but Dave Guild sees right through it, and he came off that previous turn a little bit quicker. So it's Dave Guild back in the lead, and now they're going to have to watch for the traffic ahead. We have, I believe that's Christian Malipart that sees these guys growing in their mirrors. Dave Guild and Pavel Vasilev are going to get into traffic. Christian Malipart running 8th, his teammate Jeff Browning in 9th. Danny Hoekstra inheriting 3rd place. He's about 3 seconds behind Pavel Vasilev, so the Tulip Racing guys are doing great work for the team standings. And there you see the traffic. It's Christian Malipart slowing down on the left side, letting these guys have their race. That is very good sportsmanship from Malipart. That is much appreciated. He's not in a position to challenge these guys. And there comes Pavel Vasilev on the 2nd turn. That sweeping left-hander. He takes the lead right. Oh, no! It's Dave Guild getting too quick on the throttle there. His teammate, Danny Hoekstra, passes him for 2nd. He's back on his way, but oh my goodness, that was not good. Running really hard here. He gets passed by Vasilev. As you can see, he's on the gray area there, the dirty side of the track. Tries to get on the gas too quickly to stay in the draft, and he messes it up, loses the back end, saves the car from going off track, but it's costing him the 2nd position, and it kind of looks like we have decided the race or decided that fight between Vasilev and Guild right here, right now. There's your leader. He's 3.4 seconds clear of Danny Hoekstra. Danny Hoekstra, not his favorite track. He was talking about how he finds it difficult to go really fast around here, but he finds himself in 2nd position. And then Dave Guild is a 1.5 seconds behind, and I'm sure Dave can close that gap, and I'm sure Danny is not going to give his teammate too much trouble getting by, because he knows Dave's a little bit quicker on this track, and that is obviously he's gonna let him by to make sure he can catch back up to Pavel, or at least give that a good shot. We are on lap 21. The pit stops could be coming any time right now, and that would definitely get the drivers to the end of the race. We're pretty much on halfway, and a lot of drivers wait till the tank is pretty much empty, which would probably, I would guess, they will be pitting anywhere between lap 25 and 30 or 32 even. Not sure how far it will take them, but I'm pretty sure it's about 2/3 distance that they can do, and that's what gives them a little bit of a window to play with. Dave Guild, 3rd position. Danny Hoekstra, 2nd position. You can see Dave Guild's already closing in on Danny Hoekstra, 1.3 seconds. Now their job, both of these guys, make sure you make no mistakes. Keep it on track and keep it going. The fourth guy, Juanso Ovali, is 2 seconds behind Dave Gild. Paul Ilbrink still about 23 seconds behind the leader, so he's not been able to get closer to Vasilev, but he's definitely closing in on Ovali, and that means that Paul Ilbrink is still hoping to score some points here. Behind Ilbrink, it's Tony Jimenez, and then it's Mark Ponick, Malipart, and Browning, and then Gonzalez. 10 drivers that are still in the race. Christoph Bouzy went out after an incident with, I believe it was Gonzalez. Mark Ponick in seventh position, dropping from third is what I was trying to say. Ooh, we have an incident for Ovali, and it looks like he is well enough ahead of Ilbrink. Let's see what happened to him. It's the sharp right-hander. He's actually close to Dave Gild there. And then he throws it away by getting on the throttle a little bit too quickly. He takes to the grass to make it easy for him to come back on. And it looks like Malipart is passing him there, but that was not for position. Ovali is back on the road. He has dropped 10 seconds to Dave Gild. Dave Gild is 1.2 seconds behind Hoekstra, and that's kind of staying the same right now. I would have thought that the both of them would be, that Dave would be a little bit quicker than Danny here. He's shown to be in practice, qualifying, and in the first part of the race, but maybe Dave is kind of scratching behind his ears and just waiting for that pit stop, get some fresh rubber, and try again. Hoekstra ahead of him. Two beautiful painted cars, Tulip Racing. No doubt where the team is based, obviously. Vasilev is 4.6 seconds ahead of Hoekstra. That stays about the same. He's dealing with traffic there as well. Ooh, that is Gonzalez that went off the track, is trying to stay out of the leader's way so much that he went off track there. And that's a tricky little turn there. I mean, it sounds easier than it is, but if you stay too far to the outside there, it's kind of easy to misjudge where the track ends. The mistake that Ovali made there, or that Gonzalez made there, is one I've made many times myself. Vasilev, lap 24, still out there. Haven't seen pit stops from the first 7 drivers yet. There in the background you see the two Tulip Racing machines. Gild now definitely closing in on his teammate. Right along with him. On to the back stretch. And then the back end of Hoekstra's car, looking at his teammate Dave Gild. And Dave Gild is heading into pit road. He is the first one of the top 3 drivers that gets in there. He wants new tires, and he wants that machine to maybe handle a little bit better. It looks like he has no damage on the front end of his car. We can check the rear end of his car. That all looks pretty good as well. So there he is, coming to a stop. First one out of the top 3 to take that pit stop. Fuel and tires. Let's see if he comes back right onto the track here. There we go. Oh, he takes the long way. He takes the long exit, and he comes back on track behind behind Paul Ilbrink. So Paul Ilbrink now in 4th position. Temporarily, I'm sure. Pavel Vasilev. leading the race now by 4.3 seconds. Danny Hoekstra actually keeping up really well. Pavel running 116.9. Danny Hoekstra running a 116.9 here on the last laps. So that is not bad. He has got the same pace. Not quick enough to close it in, but quick enough to stay with him on that same interval. Ovalle finds himself in third now. He is 17 seconds behind Hoekstra, and then it's Ulbrink, less than 2 seconds behind Ovalle. Then it's 10 seconds to Dave Gild. Let's take a look at the Fear the Deer machines. They are struggling today. Christian Malipart there. Ahead of, we saw him pass Ovalle when Ovalle had his little off track there. Then it's Jeff Browning in 9th position. Looks like Mark Ponick is coming down to pit road from 7th position. Unfortunately had his major off track there. Didn't damage anything, but it cost him a lot of positions. Car on the jacks, that means he's taking tires. Waiting for the fuel to get in. And he is off again. That was a good pit stop. Not super quick, but that's okay. And he comes out right behind your leader. He also takes the long way around. That may have been something the drivers discussed before the race, that, hey guys, let's just keep it safe for everybody. Let's just all take the long way out. Paul Ulbrink coming down pit road out of 4th position. That was obviously going to mean that Dave Gild will get back in front of him. Vasilev, Hoekstra, getting close to the end of lap number 27. Let's see if any of them are going into the pits. Pavel Vasilev. And again, the lap times of Vasilev and Hoekstra are pretty similar. Ovalle is actually pretty slow as compared to these guys. Dave Gild is the same lap times as Vasilev and Hoekstra, as we see Vasilev come down pit road. Hoekstra following the example. Picks up a little dust on the entry there. So Vasilev and Hoekstra, both the two leaders, are on pit road. What's Ovalle doing? He's staying out another lap. He's going to get credit for leading a lap. Vasilev. There we see Ovalle going by. Vasilev leaving. Hoekstra leaving. Both have good pit stops. Your new leader is Swanso Ovalle. Obviously, Ovalle is the only driver on the track right now that has not made his pit stop yet, so we can expect him to come in anytime soon, and that'll bring the lead right back to this guy, Pavel Vasilev, leader of your championship in season number 4. He's the only driver so far that has more than one win to his name. Jimenez in the pits. Looks like a good pit stop. He's back on his way. He's in 6th position, and I believe he kept that. There we have Mark Ponick. He's not yet. There he is in the final turn. So Jimenez is already gone, and let's see Ovalle. We're going to expect him to come in anytime soon. Again, they have a bit of a window to play with, so it's basically a lot of drivers will choose a moment that's good for them if they're stuck behind traffic or whatever. There we have Swanso Ovalle going into the pits from the lead. He got credit for leading one lap. Looks good on your resume. There goes Vasilev. There goes Hoekstra. So things are back in order. Let's take a look at the lap times for these guys. Vasilev 1/10 of a second quicker than Hoekstra. That's on cold tires. Obviously they take a little bit to get going. And Dave Guild put in a 1:18, so he is currently a little bit quicker than those guys. But again, they're on cold tires. Dave Guild's outlap was better than the guys in front of him. So Dave Guild in third position. Juanso Ovale is in fourth now, and he's 14 seconds behind Guild. Then it's 2.7 seconds to Paul Ilbrink. Mark Ponick still in seventh. There's your leader of the race, Pavel Vasilev. Strong contender in this championship this entire season. He's always been up there. Very fast driver. Very good driver. Very clean driver. Doesn't make very many mistakes, although we've seen him make some minor ones today. But he doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. Distance to Danny Hoekstra, 4.8 seconds. Dave Guild, 3 seconds behind his teammates. So actually, Dave has lost a little bit on that pit stop. There we have Malipart. He's a lap down from the guy in front of him, but he's still running. He's in 8th. Jeff Browning, 9th position. Again, Jeff is doing a very good job in practice. He's always up there in the top 5 or 6 in practice, and then in race, qualifying and race, he seems to still struggle a little bit. So disappointing day for Jeff. Danny Hoekstra in the number 91 Phillip Racing machine. Going into lap 31, we have 20 more laps to go. Fairly long races in this series. Pretty much 50 to 55 minutes is what they shoot for when they set it up. So it's not an easy feat, and especially not in this car, folks. I've driven in this series, and it's difficult. It's definitely one of the harder cars on iRacing. It's very powerful. It doesn't have a lot of grip in the tires. It's difficult to set up. So hats off to these guys. Pavel Vasilev, Danny Hoekstra, Dave Guild, you name him. Paul Ilbrink being one of the quicker guys normally as well. These guys are pretty good on these machines. Lap times are dropping off a little bit. Actually, the track temperature may have gone up a little bit. We can pull that up real quick. No. Yeah, the track temperature's gone up a little bit, I believe. So that is probably telling you why the lap times are dropping off a little bit. The warmer the track, folks, the more slippery it gets, because the surface gets more slippery. The tires will be affected by all the grease and debris and the dust and stuff that they pick up when it gets warmer. So it's the surface that affects the speed here. It's not so much the cars. All right, let's take another look here around the other drivers as things seem to have calmed down. We had an off for Gonzalez. Not sure if that's something we've missed before. That's something we've missed before. He just misses his apex there, and he can't really get on the throttle. Tries anyway, and then he just takes the scenic route around. And again, this is the good thing about Phillip Island, is that there's a lot of runoff areas. You can mess up and not hurt your car all that much. So that's a good thing. So it looks like we just caught him doing that. Jeff Browning still in 9th. Lap times for Jeff are not bad. 1:17.8 was his last lap. 1:17.7 was his best lap. If we look at the leaders right now, he's really not that far behind. Christian Malipart having an issue here. Let's go and see what happens. And gets on that curb a little bit when the car wiggles, and it turns him around again. Lucky that there's plenty of runoff area. That's right there by pit entry, and he's actually going in the pits. He probably was headed there anyway. His early pit stop, because of his incident, his wing damage, we knew he wasn't going to make it. So he is coming in for fuel. None such problems for Pavel Vasilev. He is in the lead, almost 5 seconds ahead of Denny Hoekstra. Last lap times were pretty much dead equal. 117.07, 117.07 for the both of them. So Denny Hoekstra is keeping up with Pavel Vasilev, and that must be encouraging to him, because he was struggling a little bit in practice, I should say. Dave Gild is about 1/10 of a second quicker than these guys, hoping to close that gap to his teammate there. 3.2 seconds that he needs to nibble away. 15 seconds to Juanso Ovale in 4th position. Then it's 1.3 seconds to Paul Ilbrink. He's closing in on Ovale, it looks like. He still hasn't gained on the leader. He's now 24 seconds behind the leader, so it's a tough call for him to close in on Vasilev, because they're both top drivers. Vasilev is quick, Ilbrink is quick. But what Ilbrink is trying to do, obviously, is trying to at least improve his track position a little bit, so he scores a little bit more points. But we have to say it, for a two-time champion, this season number 4 has been a little bit disappointing. He's made some mistakes. He had some bad luck here and there, and the opening lap of this race was really illustrative for that. Just being offline just a tad, just not right, a little bit too quick, and then this car's not very forgiving. Malipart leaving the pits, staying on that long lane. I'm sure they pre-race probably agreed on doing that just to keep each other out of trouble. 11 cars on the grid, folks. 10 cars still running. The only one we've lost is Christoph Bouzy, who had a little bit too much damage maybe to make it worth his time. But unfortunately, the fields are a little bit small lately. We are really hoping that will pick up the rest of the season. We've had some new drivers join, Tony Jimenez being one of them. He is currently running in 6th position. Lap time's 117.9. That's not bad at all. Last lap, Danny Hoekstra was actually quicker than Pavel Vasilev, but not as quick as Dave Gild. Dave Gild and Juanso Ovale were actually equally fast with 116.92. Paul Ilbrink is not quicker than Ovale. He's right up there, but he's about short 2/10 of a second here. He can see him, and that's always motivating if you can see your opponent. But he's having a tough time getting up there. Distance between Vasilev and Hoekstra now over 5 seconds. Last lap, Pavel was 116.9 as opposed to Danny Hoekstra being half a second slower. Maybe had a little bit of an issue somewhere. And maybe just thinking, okay, I just need to finish this thing. And that'll be a good second place. That's definitely, as far as I know, Danny, that's definitely more than he expected getting into this race. And Dave Gild in 3rd, 2.6 seconds behind his teammate. A little bit quicker, but not by much. Looks like Jeff Browning's been in the pits. Yep, he still needed his fuel stop. There he goes. Looks like a cool, good and clean stop. We're on lap 36 of 50, so 15 laps to go. Distance between Vasilev and Hoekstra remaining consistent right around that 5-second mark. Looks like Pavel has got things under control right here. And Ilbrink less than 2 seconds behind Ovali. Ovali is not slower than Ilbrink, and that's I mean, Ovali is in control of this right now between him and Ilbrink. He's a couple tenths a lap quicker than Paul. Proven to be a pretty fast driver as well. Did really well last time, where both of the Iridium drivers scored some really good points. 3rd and 4th, if I remember correctly. There was a moment last race where they couldn't decide who was going to take that podium spot. And Ilbrink. Again, when you can see your opponent this close, that's usually pretty motivating, but it's also, I guess, a recipe for disaster if you're not really knowing what you're doing. You can get a little bit over enthusiastic and mess up. Although I will say, what sets Ilbrink, Vasilev, and Gild and Hoekstra apart from some of the lesser gods in this series is their ability to catch it when it goes wrong. My problem in this series has always been that once it goes, you know, and these guys they're on the money. They know how to catch that thing, and that's hard. I can tell you that's hard. Go take a look at Pavel Vasilev, 117 flat. Danny Hoekstra, 117 flat. Dave Gilt, 117.3. Last lap, Paul Ilbrink was actually the quickest driver on the track with a 116.8. Fastest lap of the race is still in the hands of Vasilev, 116.5. Dave Gild had a little off track. That's not going to help his pursuit. Ah, 2 wheels in the grass. He's got to lift there and reset himself, and that is a costly mistake because that's the last turn. That's going to ruin this lap and the next one. 2 seconds he lost there. So Danny Hoekstra looking pretty solid there in 2nd position. And Pavel Vasilev pretty solid in the race lead. So the eFormula series has set the schedule for the next few races. Normally what they do is they follow the iRacing schedule. However, that would have meant that the next race, which is next week by the way, not 2 weeks from now, but next week, that would have meant that the next venue would have been one that we've already raced in Season 4. So next week, folks, we're going to Spa-Francorchamps, which is, I guess, one time that we're not following the schedule to make sure that we're not running double races in one season. Then after that, we're going to Suzuka, which is not exactly the week that iRacing runs Suzuka, but that would have meant another duplicate. So the penultimate race will be in Suzuka, and then we're going to have a season finale in the streets of Long Beach, and that, I can tell you, is a difficult track with this car because of the bumps. It's a street circuit. It's got a lot of concrete and asphalt mixed in. It's very bumpy, so it's very, very difficult in this car. And then those concrete walls are right on the track. No runoff areas in Long Beach. So the season finale is going to be a tough one for all these guys. And obviously, Vasilev is hoping to wrap up the championship before we get there. So next week, the 18th, will be the 8th round in Spa-Francorchamps. And it looks like Hoekstra is losing a little bit to Pavel. He's not slower, it's just that Vasilev has stepped it up a notch and is now consistently under the 117s, whereas Danny is hovering right on there. So Hoekstra's not slowing down, but Vasilev is speeding up. Gild has put in a 16.5, which makes him the fastest driver of these top three right now. But obviously, due to that little mistake, he's got some catching up to do. He's nibbled away about a second from the two that he's lost with his little off track. Onso Ovale is remaining quicker than Paul Ilbrink, not by much. There's about 2/10 of a second in lap time difference, and that keeps Paul Ilbrink at bay. Jimenez in 6th position, pretty much by himself with Mark Ponick at 3.5 seconds. Then it's Jeff Browning who has passed Molly Part. I guess the pit stops had something to do with that. And then JJ Gonzalez, 3 laps down, but soldiering on here in 10th position, still scoring some points. Buzzi is the only one that has left the race. Teammate to Vasilev, so team points are not are hurt a little bit, although Vasilev picks up some good points as a winner, obviously. We had somebody throw up some dust. Dave Gild closing in on his teammate right around. We have Paul Ilbrink off again. Paul Ilbrink off again. And I can't help but wonder, he's trying hard. I mean, he's not giving up. I will absolutely give him that. That's why I like watching him race. He doesn't give up that easy. And then he tries just a tad too hard and gets it off track. Again, folks, this is not an easy car. With 2 championships under his belt, maybe Paul is preparing just a tad a little bit different than he did before. You know, I've heard professional racer drivers talk about that. I remember Niki Lauda when he won his first championship in 1975 and then again in 1977 said something about, you know, when you win the championship, you're on top. And then you know, the challenge for the next one maybe is a little bit different, and you try just a little bit less hard. And I can see Paul Ilbrink with 2 championships under his belt, trying a little bit less hard, being just a little bit less prepared, and making slight mistakes. But he's not giving up. He likes to pursue that goal in front of him, and that goal right now is called Juanso Ovale. Let's go back live. Yeah, he lost about, 5 or 6 seconds there. Hoekstra and Vasilev right around that 5-second mark, staying about the same. Danny Hoekstra actually last lap a little bit quicker than Vasilev. I'm sure Danny is not under the illusion that he can close that gap in the remainder 6-7 laps that we have. But it must feel good to be in 2nd position and being able to match race pace. Because when he was practicing earlier this week, I talked to him, and he just didn't feel good about this track. He couldn't find his setup in a way that he felt like I can mean something here. But actually turns out that he does. Dave Gild is still a little bit quicker than him, but I'm sure they're not going to make life too hard for each other. Dave Gild in 3rd position, 2.6 seconds. That is a gap he could close, so they will probably both be on the podium, but the order in which is yet to be determined. 7th place, Mark Ponick. Still on the lead lap, 53 seconds behind the leader. Too bad of his little off there in the early stages, or in the middle of the race, I should say. His lap times are looking pretty good, 17.0. That's right where the leaders are. But the ground lost is very hard to make up. It's easier to lose ground than it is to gain. Tony Jimenez is off and has to let Mark Ponick by. Let's see what happened. Ooh, that's that first right-hander going towards the end of the track there. He gets on the gas a little bit too eager and messes it up. Mark Ponick has taken the position away from him. Ilbrink still trying hard. Good lap times, 117.1, and Ovali is doing the same thing, so that mistake he made earlier just cost him 2 seconds, but he's still equally fast as Ovali. And Dave has a problem. Oh, big one, big one, big one. And he still saves it from getting into the wall. Let's see what happened. Ooh, that's coming up the hill. Little wiggle in the back end is all it takes for him to lose control of the car in that very fast turn. It's going slightly over a crest, and that makes the car go light, and it's very easy to mess that up. That means that Dave is still trying pretty hard, but it may be a little too hard. Danny Hoekstra, and 116.9 puts him half a second quicker than Vasilev on that last lap we did. Lap 46 of 50. We have 5 more laps to go. He's probably not going to close that gap, because that would mean he'd have to be a second quicker every single lap, and then he would still have to pass Vasilev. So I don't see that happening. But he's still proving that he turned this weekend around. He turned this thing around from feeling very, well, he was a little discouraged and didn't expect to do well. And then here he is again, second position, beating his teammate, who is generally quicker than him. But Dave is, again, he's a very quick driver, but those tiny little mistakes, they creep in there. He gets a little frustrated, and then some more creep in there. Gonzalez had a little issue. Go take a look and see what happened to JJ. Just a little bit too wide, too late on the brakes in that second turn, hits the tire barriers. Ooh, I hope that car's not crooked. Take a look at his hands. Yeah, that car's crooked. Let's see if he gets on the asphalt. Well, maybe not. Nope, he's fine. He's on his way. And last lap, Pavel turned it around again, being a little bit quicker than Danny, so it's kind of, they're flipping that around a little bit. Let's just conclude that they're equally fast. Ooh, Mark Ponick sets the new fastest lap of the race, 1:16.28. That's 0.3 of a second quicker than the previous fastest lap by Vasilev. So Mark is on a roll here. Ooh, it looks like Gonzalez is having more issues. And he's trying to stay out of the way for the leaders once again, and we saw him do this earlier. He stays out of the way and just misses the turn completely. And again, I've been there, done that. That's a tricky little turn. It looks like it's further away than it really is. Unfortunate for JJ, but he's soldiering on. He's hanging in there. He may be tense, but he's still there. He's going to the pits right now. It looks like he needs a front wing. The right front wing is damaged. getting himself some tires in the process. Probably wore those out with all the issues that he had. And a new wing, new tires, he's back on his way. No such problems for Pavel Vasilev. Still in control. Still right at that 5-second mark when it comes to the lead he has on Danny Hoekstra. Runs a 1:16.7. Well, let's wait for Danny. Danny also ran a 1:16.7. That's Chris Malipart behind Danny Hoekstra. Chris is a lap down, 2 laps down in fact. Danny Hoekstra in that second position. Doing really well. Dave Gild. Pretty much equal lap time to his teammate. A few tenths, not even a tenth slower than Danny. I'm sure Dave is kind of consolidating here and trying to make sure he brings it home in third place. 2 podium finishes for the Tulip Racing team will give him good points in the team championship, and that's what they've been working on the most this season. They knew it was going to be a tough call to fight for the drivers championship, so they kind of went for the team championship, and that seems to be working all right. It's not going to be easy to beat Pavel's team, but second place might still be in it for them. They need to pass the Iridium Motorsports. Today only have one driver coming, which is Swanso Ovale, and he's in 4th position. But he's the only one scoring points there, so I'm sure that the Tulip Racing boys will be taking over second place. We are on the final lap, folks. Pavel Vasilev and Danny Hoekstra and Dave Gild have seen the white flag. Pavel Vasilev 4.8, almost 5 seconds ahead of Danny Hoekstra. This is the time where you just want to consolidate, bring it home, keep cool. It'd be dumb to make a mistake on the last lap, throwing it all away. So you just want to take it easy. But taking it easy sometimes leads to mistakes. It sounds really stupid, but that's something, because you're doing stuff different than you normally do. And there he comes, last few turns. One more time, past the pit entrance. There he goes through the last turn. I believe that's Molly Park in front of him. He is taking the win, Pavel Vasilev, P1. Let's wait for Danny Hoekstra. There he is, 5.0 seconds right behind Vasilev. He kept that at 5 seconds for pretty much the latter part of the race. Good job for Danny Hoekstra, second place position in a race that he didn't think he was going to be that good at. Dave Gild brings it home in 3rd. We are there. Swanso Ovale bringing it home in 4th. Paul Ilbrink bringing it home in 5th. Mark Ponick still pulls the 6th position out of this thing after Tony Jimenez had a little bit of an issue. There goes Mark Ponick towards that final straightaway towards the finish line. There you have it, folks. There is Tony Jimenez. And we are also still waiting for Jeff Browning. He's still out there. There he comes. Disappointing 8th position for him. 9th position for Molly Parts already finished. And then there's Gonzalez. Right in front of Browning, actually. There they come. Across the line together. And there you have it, folks. Pull up the results here for you. Pavel Vasilev brings it home in 1st. He is not a privateer, don't mind that. Danny Hoekstra and Dave Gild, Tulip Racing teammates, on 2nd and 3rd. Let's go see if we can find somebody to talk to. We're probably going to have to pull them out of their team talk. Dave, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me? Dave Gilt, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Dude, you had a terrific battle for the lead there early on in the race. That was really some great racing going on with Pavel in the beginning. Talk us through that, man.
Oh, mate, it was just unreal. Me and him, we always have good races round here. Give me 2 seconds. I can hear Jeff and them talking in the race. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, yeah, no, we have some great races around here. There's actually a good video of, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. Dogfight on YouTube of me and him. And yeah, it's just great. But unfortunately, I lost it. He kept taking the same line. I think he went round the outside and I just tried cutting it hard. I can't really remember what happened, but yeah, no, it was unfortunate. And I underfueled the car, so yeah, that's why I pitted early. It weren't to try and do an undercut because you got no chance of that here with how fast the track is.
So after your pit stop, when you were in, there was just little mistakes creeping in there that really got you down. Gave Danny second a pretty solid lead on you for second place. Was there a little bit of frustration in there?
Yeah.
Simple answer. We like your honesty, Dave.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know where that comes from. You know, little things creep in there, and you're trying to do as good as you can. You're trying to gain some ground on the guy in front of you, and then just it was just I just always it amazes me how well you are at saving it.
Well, I lost it a lot, so I've had to practice at catching it. But now, Pav and Danny, they ran a great race. Once you lose a drag round here, it's hard to gain any time unless you're pushing and pushing. But I just made a few mistakes, and 50 laps is a bit long if you ask me, but I was getting a bit tired towards the end.
Come on, Dave. It's called a sport for a reason, dude.
Yeah, I need to get some more stamina, I think.
All right. Well, you go work on that, Dave Guild. Anybody you want to thank before I let you go?
Yeah, congratulations to you for doing the broadcast, and thanks to the team for helping with the setups and that. Congratulations to Pavel for the win, and congratulations to Danny for second. It was a great drive, and thank you very much to Bert for being a spotter and me on man and my sponsor FM Motors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Cheers, mate.
Mark, but
Hey, Danny. This is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me?
yep.
Yeah, sorry for pulling you out there a little bit. I know I'm a little rude there, but I just wanted to talk to you. We talked before the race. Your confidence level before the race about this track and the way your car was handling wasn't all that great. And here you are in second place. What is this, man?
I don't know actually. I mean, I felt during practice that the grip levels were a bit better than when we practiced together as a team. And yeah, well, like I said, I took the highest possible downforce to have the safest car and just tried to bring it home, even though it wouldn't be the fastest option. And yeah, it worked out because I still kind of was able to match the lap times. I don't know how, but yeah, I did, and I almost screwed up pit entry, but yeah, well, still good result.
Yeah, I saw you kicking up a little bit of dust there. Danny, it's exactly as you say, dude. I was watching those lap times, and what surprised me the most was not so much that you were in second place because you basically got there when Dave made a little mistake, but the fact that you kept that 5 second gap at bay. Pretty much, it was flipping between you and Pavel as far as the fastest lap was going concerned. Not so much the fastest lap of the race, but the time you were spending behind him, you were equal in speed, so that must feel pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy with that. I mean, the lap times were close, especially qualifying. I guess you've seen that. So I knew lap times in the race would be also quite, close to each other. But yeah, without any slipstream, it's hard to follow. And but I was comfortable in that gap, just minding my own business, and it worked out.
Well, it's a great result for you, Danny. It's also a great result for the team. You guys are both on the podium, so Tulip Racing is coming away with a good sack of points here for that team championship. Obviously, you're going to be looking a little bit better in the drivers' championship as well. So, congratulations on that, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Anybody you want to thank before I let you go, Danny?
Yeah, thanks to David for messing up so that I could be second instead of him. And no, I'm glad we finally got a good result as a team because we both know we sometimes have the speed for it, and we know we can drive very consistently. But yeah, it's very hard to kind of do it together, and both have the luck you need to be able to get to the podium in this league. So yeah, thanks to my dad, thanks to you for broadcasting, and thanks to everyone who showed up today.
All right, Danny. Thanks very much, bud.
You
Got to
too.
be better.
Hey, Pavel, I
Oh,
stole you out of that
hey
other
guys.
room there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What's up, Mark?
Hey, another one in the books for you, dude. The first part of the race definitely wasn't easy for you.
No, it was not. Both Dave and Mark were looking really racy up in there, and I saw that I was faster in some places around the track, but I was really losing um, around 2 tenths, I would say, in first in turn two. And because of the nature of the track, it's really hard to break the draft, So yeah, it was looking to be quite a tough race, but then obviously I somehow survived.
Yeah, I mean, at first you seemed to be in control, and then I think a little bit of a slight mistake creeped in there, giving Dave the advantage, and then it was a pretty good fight actually between the two of you until Dave kind of messed up and lost a few seconds there. But it must feel good to have a good fight like that.
Yeah, actually, we had a similar one in the officials last 2 seasons ago when Phillip Island was on the schedule. I was like, man, is this gonna be exactly the same thing as last time? Because we were fighting for like 25 laps, and yeah, I was looking forward to that actually. This time around, this season, I've set up my car the sixth gear for overtaking, so I knew I could, I could be competitive, but yeah, in the end, unfortunate mistake for Dave, and yeah, for me, I had a bit of a sail towards the finish line back then. Although I did nearly run out of fuel towards the end, so I had to save some fuel last 6 laps.
Well, you still kept that 5 second advantage pretty much as it was. Lap times I noticed were in the upper 116s, pretty much the same as Danny. Did Danny worry you at any point?
Uh, I was keeping an eye on the delta, so and I wasn't like saving crazy, so I knew I could increase my pace if he was getting closer. I had some DRS, so I could really manage the gap. But yeah, it was just a bit. I was getting a bit worried because I think if I didn't save at all, I would have run out of fuel on the last start finish stretch on the last lap. So yeah, just had to
That
manage a
would have
bit.
been a heartbreaker, wouldn't it?
I think I would have still finished, but yeah, I might have lost the position there. But you never know. It's better to avoid this kind of situation altogether.
Exactly. Well, Pavel, it looks like this season is going really well for you. What's your expectation for the last three races? You think you can hang on to that lead and bring home a championship?
Well, actually, I'm gonna make it a little bit interesting. I've got to travel next week for work, so I will unfortunately miss Spa. So that means that's my 2 drop weeks out, So basically, I have to finish the last 2 races. I think I'll be then in a good position to bring the championship home. But otherwise, yeah, I think I've got a bit of a buffer. So we'll see. We'll just try our best. That's all we can do.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks very much for the insights once again, Pavel. Congratulations on a great win. Good race for you, obviously. The drivers count in total is dropping off a little bit. Any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean it's unfortunate. Firstly, thanks to people who are still making it week in and week out. And yeah, I think it's a tough car, and honestly, the track conditions in this league are a little bit more difficult than in the official series. So I think that is not helping the cause, because to begin with, this car is already quite difficult to drive. So you have to have a lot of patience and practice to get on with it and not spin and finish races. But yeah, when the conditions, when we joined the practice, it was like 30 degrees or something, and it's really difficult to drive. So yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah, I've
more
heard you
people
talk
can.
about that last time as well, and the only thing I can say is when we set up the races, we take the exact same time and date as iRacing uses, and we do the same thing they do, which is generate weather, and for some reason it's still not the same. So it's a little it's tough to get that figured out. We've
Yeah,
had
I think I would. My suggestion would be to maybe, if it's the evening race, try to make it 1 hour later, because in the evening temperatures drop off. Or if it's a morning race, maybe 1 hour earlier, because we also have, compared to the thing that we noticed when practicing, compared to official series, you join and you qualify and race straight away, and the whole session takes like 45 minutes, but we do a 40-minute practice and then quali for 15 minutes. So that there is a delta of about 1 hour before we actually race with the
Yeah,
official
we
one. So
try
I
to
think,
compensate for that because if the official races start at noon, then we set up the practice to start 45 minutes earlier. But it still doesn't. It's we still can't get it the same. So yeah,
yeah,
we'll
it's
see
it's
if we can
strange.
figure out something about that because we do appreciate your thoughts on that. I mean, I agree with you. It is a difficult car to start with. So anything we can do to make the situation harder is not desirable.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Maybe actually this season you have the iRacing setups were updated, and I raced with a slightly modified iRacing setup, which I found to be quite good. So maybe it'll help that there are competitive setups that you don't have to buy them. Maybe that will help attract participation. But yeah, it's a shame it's dropping off, because otherwise you can really, if we can fix the weather conditions, it's really fun to do this races and to do this league.
All right. Well, thank you for your thoughts on that, Pavel. Once again, congratulations on the win. Anybody you want to thank before I let you go?
Yeah, thank you guys for organizing. Keeping the league alive, and like I said, to all the guys who showed up and did a race and finished it. And yeah, thanks to my team, Atomic Racing. Shout out to them. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, folks. There you have it. Thanks for tuning in. I agree with Pavel. Thank you for the 11 drivers that gave Phillip Island a shot. You never know how it goes. You heard Danny Hoekstra talk about how he didn't think he was going to be competitive, but in the end, he comes home with a second place, and his lap times were pretty equal to the leader. So you never know how this ball rolls, to be honest. So next time in Spa, where we heard Pavel talk about how he's going to miss that race because of some obligations elsewhere. That happens, obviously. There's 10 races in this championship. Every driver has at least one drop, which means that his worst result is dropped off the scoring table. And obviously, if you miss a race, then that's what you're going to drop off, which is 0 points scored. Everybody that shows up scores at least 1 point. The winner scores 20, then it's 16, 14, 12, 10. So there's good points to be scored for the first 11 drivers, and then everybody else gets at least 1 point if they show up. Again, in a week from today, we're going to be going to Spa-Francorchamps because the new iRacing schedule would have led to us running a venue that we've already done before. We're not going to do that, so we're going to run in Spa-Francorchamps. Then in January, I believe the 8th, We're going to go to Suzuka, and we're going to wrap this fourth season up in Long Beach on January the 22nd. We hope to see you all there, and until then, next week is our next race. Again, not 2 weeks this time, but 1 week. We want to give you the holiday weekends to spend with family, obviously, and not be racing all the time. So next week is Spa-Francorchamps. We hope to see you there. And until then, folks, stay healthy and take care of one another. Thank you.